My name is Charlotte and I really like Notion. So I wanted to show everyone how I use Notion for meal prepping and meal planning. So this is my recipe box. If it looks familiar to you, it's because it's from Kylie Stewart. She did a screencast with Francesco of Keep Productive, and I really liked her setup. I thought it was a good balance between detailed and simple, which is something that I've learned to value in Notion, because if it's too complicated, then I just don't use it, right? It's basically, the idea is you fill in this table with recipes. You can also sort it by board, and it's sorted by tags. So if I wanted something super easy, I can look at the easy section and choose from there. Or if I wanted to, eat soup that day, got some soups. So I kept actually a lot of her recipes because they looked really good. I deleted the ones I didn't really like. And I will put a link below to Kylie's meal planner. She made it available to everybody, the recipe box. And so, yeah, I adapted that for my needs, but I also made it a little more advanced in that I changed the way she kind of organized her recipes. So here we have like a really simple chicken stir fry. And this person who is from this video did this recipe. They didn't even put in, like amounts, because it's a stir fry. Nothing's exact. But it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this video, because I want to show you my setup. So if you notice, I have a toggle up here called sectioned instructions for simple chicken veggie stir fry, and that is just linked to this page, and I'll explain to you in a second why I did it that way. If you go down to the instructions, you'll see that I added that link to the end of every single line, and I added the number step at the end of the line. And that's because I drag each of the steps into this sectioned off instructions with pre-prep, chop, stove top, and other recipes have different, different sections. Like if you need to use the oven is there. If you need to mix stuff, mixing is there. But this is stir fry, so it didn't really need those categories. And I put each of the the steps in the appropriate category. And the reason, and this may seem like overkill, but the reason I did this is because when I'm planning my meals, all I have to do is drag the top sections, I drag the toggles into my meal plan for the week, and then I organize them into the prep, into the mix. And so they're all in the right order. So I know that I'm going to be eating, I want to make chicken tenders, and I want to make mashed taters, and a burrito wrap. And so when I'm prepping my meals for the week, when I tend to do it all at once to make things easier for me, I have all the tools I need with the associated recipe that I can just click on and go there instantly. And so if I'm confused about anything, I'm like, oh, okay, these are the instructions in order, simplified. And that way I can look at everything I need to do when I'm chopping, and I can look at everything I need to do when I'm, prepping. Sometimes I don't need to chop all that much stuff, so I put the chopping with the pre-prep. It's not a huge deal. So that way I know I have one thing that's 450 and one thing that's 410, and so I can decide, like, okay, chicken tenders can be put in at 410. That wouldn't be a huge deal. So I can put the chicken tenders and the potatoes in at the same temperature at the same time. That would save me a lot of energy and time cooking, and then I can keep going, and I can mix everything I need to do with each recipe, keep them together. And so I can deal with the dry stuff and the mixing all at once, and then I can assemble at the same time. And it just works better, especially if you have two things that you want to do on the stovetop or two things you want to do in the oven. I did not come up with this system. I actually adapted it from a Trello board I've seen, and I will link to that also in the description. Then there's also the shopping list, and this is Kylie's system as well. I didn't actually finish this shopping list, so I know I just drag them in from the recipe box. So if I go here to the chicken burrito wrap, I can just drag this in, and I have the linked recipe next to the ingredient. In the same way I do that for the sectioned off instructions. So if I am shopping, I can just really quickly click on the link, go straight to the page and see, okay, is there something I can substitute this for? I forgot to buy it, or the store doesn't have it, or what have you. So if I go back, so I just copy those checklists into my meal plan for the week, and I start to, so like I have oil at home, I can delete this. I definitely have salt and pepper, so I can delete this. I need to buy egg whites, so that in my grocery store, eggs are with the dairy cheese, so I put that there. I need to buy chicken, so I'll put that here. This is cheese, I don't know if I have it, so we'll keep it on the list. Avocados is produce. Cilantro, I have cilantro, and tortilla is dry goods. So then all I have to do is go through the list and be like, okay, I have virgin olive oil, I have onions, I have red potatoes, I have pepper, and so I know I can just really quickly go through and see what I have. And if I'm ever, a little confused, or like, why did I put breadcrumbs on my list again? I don't have to go back to my meal plan, which is in a different section. I can just go to the recipe. And as you can see in the recipes, I always put the sectioned off instructions, so I can just grab the toggle and drop it in and then reorganize them when I'm ready for the week. And if there's a video available, I put the video, and then I usually fix the directions to have this on there, because it's just easier to do here, and then to copy paste it and then drag it into the appropriate section. But I leave it in order in the event that I am making this for just a one-time meal and I'm not meal prepping and I just want to see things in order and not sectioned off. So that's why I do it that way. And then really quickly, I'm going to show you how exactly I plan my meals. I have this table here. It's a very simple table with the one thing I have an issue with Notion is it does not let you make the main field anything but a text field. So if I could, I would make this the date, but I can't do that. So I just make it, you could in theory make it Monday at May 27th, 2019, which is today. And, but I mean, it won't show up on a calendar or anything. So I add this date here as well. And then let me open this so it's a little clearer. And then I have a relation database set up to my, I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm not gonna do that. It's set up to pull from the recipe box. So what I do is I add in all of the meals I'm going to be eating for breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner. We're having these together. So, and then you can reorganize them. So let's say I want to have the chicken tenders and mashed potatoes for dinner instead of the burrito wrap. I'm gonna, or for lunch rather, I'm gonna put it in the middle. So I know like kind of what order they're in. And then I have roll-ups. So the roll-ups here are grabbing from the meal section. So any of the linked pages in the meal section, it's going to pull from one specific number property, and then it's gonna add them all together because I've calculated the sum. And it does that for every single one of them. So I know at a glance precisely how many calories I'm going to be eating, how many carbs, fats, protein, sugar. And that's stuff I like to just be cognizant of. And so obviously you can see I'm eating the same things for 3 days because, you meal prep them in advance and you eat them for a few days and then you meal prep again. And so that's kind of my basic system. It works really well. It makes meal prepping very easy. And it works for me. And I think I've seen other more complicated systems that I would love to make work, but I would get confused or there would be redundancies, and it didn't work for me. And that's something that I try to press upon people when they are starting to use Notion. Like, start out simple, make sure you're using it, and then if you decide that you can get more complicated, then go for it. I wasn't doing this in the beginning where I sectioned everything off into like areas, I guess you could say, kitchen areas, cooking areas. But then I'm like, this would be so much easier if I just knew what I needed to do with the oven, knew what I needed to do with the stovetop, and I could just do it for multiple recipes at once because my brain doesn't think that way. One thing I would say is I would really like to come up with a way to have like a link to a timer. So sometimes it says like put it in the oven and then flip in for 10, like here, flip after 10 minutes. I would love to be able to click on this and it's like a timer. And I know Notion doesn't have that capability. I guess what I could do is make it a date, though that's not the best thing, and then have like a notification come up. But I think what I'm going to do is research like internet cooking timers. I'm sure that's a thing. I just haven't had time to research it. And maybe I can link to it. It's like 10 to 15 minutes for the chicken tenders. And like it reminds me to flip the chicken tenders once I click it, because I usually have my laptop open while I'm cooking. So that's how I use it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you. Have a good one. Bye.